Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Demo Day. Excellent. Welcome to Demo Day, everybody. So, Demo Day, what is it? This is our sixth Demo Day, and the whole point in this session is to hear from the teams that have been working with us for around 10 weeks, to hear about what they've achieved, what they've been up to. Some instances we'll be hearing from the mentors as well, who are experts from the Lloyd's market, and it's a chance for you also to ask them some questions. So each team has about 20 minutes each. We have a pre-recorded video for them, and then we'll move to live Q&A. So please do get your questions in on the chat function, on the comments function, hopefully on the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll be asking those questions to the teams. A few other things to let you know: if you want to talk to the teams after, you're interested in what they're doing, which is quite likely with a lot of them, then you can probably connect to them on Hopin through the networking opportunity. Or if you've got my email address or anyone at Lloyd's, get hold of us and we'll introduce you to the teams. Be really happy to. Before I get started with the first pitch, which is with Distribind, I just want to let you know we've got pitch day 7 coming up at the end of the month, 28th and 9th of July. It's going to be a similar format in terms of being in the afternoons of the 2 days to break up the amount of screen time you have to have in one day. And we've got some really interesting startups. We just picked them yesterday. We haven't actually told them yet, so I can't tell you who they are. But they're on claims again. We're looking at data and models again, and then crypto and wildcard insurance products. So there's some really cool stuff coming through. If you want an invite, you don't get one. They'll be coming out either later this week or starting next week. Then you can let me know. So without further ado, this session is all about claims. Our first team is Distribind, so I'm going to roll to their video and we'll be joining the team for Q&A right afterwards. Thanks.
So Distribind is an automated data exchange for delegated authority. The reason we wanted to join the Lloyd's Lab is to help the market with all the problems that we know it has, receiving bordereau in different formats, processing those bordereau, and a lot of the problems that our mentors have been telling us about.
There's so much information within a bordereau, trying to actually look at it in any detail and actually spot any kind of issues or problems is a very manual, time-consuming task.
So bordereau is one of the most burdensome tasks that my team has to kind of go through in order to kind of run our business.
For one of our team to go through it, or quite a few of our teams go through it, it takes time.
90% of my time is spent collecting and cleansing data.
Hi, I'm Dave Connors, founder and CEO of Distribind.
Hi, I'm Scott Richardson, the CTO of Distribind.
Hello everybody, I'm Peter Payne. I'm the Claims Performance Manager for Lancashire. Obviously heavily involved in Future at Lloyd's.
I'm Andrew Rook, I'm the Syndicate Claims Manager for 318 Cincinnati Global Underwriting.
I'm Omar, and I'm the Deputy Head of Pricing at Argo, a specialty syndicate at Lloyd's.
Hi, my name's Evan Erskine. I'm an underwriter for the media entertainment team at AXA XL.
My name's Sophie Murray, and I'm the claims coordinator at Lancashire.
It's the fact that the information that's presented to us comes in all shapes and sizes.
Sometimes maybe quite an underappreciated problem in the market. It's something that everyone struggles with.
So the frequency of bordereaux makes them difficult to process in real time. If you couple that with the inconsistencies in their structure and inaccurate data, it makes it very difficult for actuaries to analyze accounts or even portfolios.
So I'll have to go in and manually delete all the duplicates.
Distribind is just able to receive data in any format. We just process it. We don't make the users do a lot of manipulation before it comes in. The transformation engine uses the thesaurus and other tools to take different formats and transform them into a consistent standard without putting that burden on either the cover holder or the user at the managing agent.
Things Distribind can do is it's language agnostic. We can even ingest languages from German or French. So the bordereau can come in and the thesaurus can automatically take those different language headers and bring the data in a standard format.
So for example, for this bordereau here, as you can see, there are duplicate columns, which these would have to be deleted. And it's just a case of going through every single duplicate column. As you can see, they need to be deleted completely. Also with these ones here, this it will look like these are actually claims, which they're not. I will have to delete these in order to just make sure that these are the headings, because otherwise it looks like we're missing all of this data, which obviously we're not. So yeah, it's a lot of data manipulation that it's just going in and just checking each column.
It was January, right?
Yeah.
So if you can see the data that quickly, I mean, how does that change?
Is that uploaded already?
That's it.
Oh wow. Okay. I mean, it takes me double that just to delete a column. Like it's yeah, that's crazy quick.
It's just the fact that you could load the bordereau up in very short time period and be able to analyze it straight away.
What we've seen with the Distribind solution is the ability to actually be able to look at individual claims or at accounts kind of at a whole level. So the ability to be able to actually go into individual losses and actually look at those, panning back over periods of months, seeing how the claims have actually developed, what's been paid, what the reserves have been doing. This is all information that we've never really had before.
It's not only the fact that the bordereaux have a very quick process upload, it's just also interesting to see the bordereaux rather as, you know, as what the bordereaux show, rather than it just being data to upload. It's interesting to see what the claims are as a visual aspect.
If you want to see things in a traditional sense, then their ability is obviously there for that. If you want things in a little bit more of an exciting way, then obviously Distribind can offer that too.
Analysing the claims that are coming through, being able to match that to the premiums coming through, the risk bordereaux, just the sort of thing that we just don't really get to do that well at the moment.
So yeah, you can see here with this, as you get into the dashboard and you can see the trend of the data going through, you can immediately see a big drop 1 month in the incurreds. And you can see below that that's actually from where a lot of claims just weren't reported in one particular month. Now, claims might drop off because this is a non-cat bordereau and some claims might have been grouped up into a cat or they might have been misreported, but you can actually see 70 odd claims here. Disappeared, that's too many, that's something we need to look at. That might prompt you to question this TPA, monitor this TPA a bit more closely in the future. So you can see in this one that the September 2020 bordereau has never been received. One of the things about Disturbind is if you did receive it now, you could just drop it in. It doesn't have to be backed out. We can handle out of sequence processing and it will just simply show you in the dashboard, in the place it should be. We try to make it very easy for you to see your data. So, just look at this screen. You can see numbers. If you're comfortable tracking numbers, you can go and compare month by month what's happened on this claim. But if you find visual representations easier, you've got the graph as well. And they work together as well. You look at that drop, there's something for you to look at, and the numbers tell you exactly what happened. Paid to dates, they don't really add up. So this is perhaps somewhere where you need to go back to the TPA. This might be a TPA you need to audit more often. But either way, you've got to look into this. And here's another example where the paid to date processing was wrong and has actually never been corrected as far as we can see. The last claim the last bordereau that we received here is March 21, the paid to dates are still wrong. Again, this cover holder, this TPA is probably someone you need to be looking at a bit more closely.
It gives us that oversight and that ability on a delegated basis to actually be able to start spotting trends and being able to obviously produce this really good analytics and data.
It's mad. It's like, it is just crazy to think all that work you do before to just get, in terms you get the same result, but you get more as well. It's less time, but you actually get a visual look at the claims, which I think is what you need to see, rather than it just being a bordereau after bordereau after bordereau. You do get a look at to what's kind of going on.
I think it's been really, it's been educational, I think, for all parties. I think it's been useful. I think there's been an opportunity for us to really explain and kind of give you guys a good feel for what it is that we do, the problems that we face, and what we're looking for in terms of next steps and moving forwards.
So Disturbind is made up of a talented group of individuals who have a good understanding of the insurance market, but they were also able to leverage their tech knowledge to drive efficiencies.
It's been a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of topics outside of it, but I really feel like you guys have tried to put yourselves in our shoes as the underwriters and the claims handlers, and really try to understand the problem from our side rather than offering us a solution that you've already come up with. So I really felt that kind of engagement was really important, and that's been very productive.
You guys have been great. We've had you've shown me how quick and easy it was for you to load the bordereau, and the analysis that you did, the missing data you found on one of our bordereaux, which we didn't spot at the time, which is news to us, but so it was it's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time it's revealing in itself, and that was great to be able to see that straight away.
The platform was easy to use and configure. Once the bordereaux were ingested, the platform provides concise information, enabling individuals to identify trends and drill down into roots of issues.
I can absolutely see it helping my kind of day-to-day processing life as an underwriter, and I can certainly see it helping through many different parts of our business, be it claims, middle office, underwriting, and management information as well.
Once everybody actually appreciates and sees the abilities that Disturbind has, they're going to want this product.
So I just want to say thank you very much to all of our mentors, to Peter, to Andrew, Edmund and Omar, and to Sophie as well, for all of their data, for their insight and their support, and to Ed at the Lloyd's Lab and Agat and Jake at Elmarks. It's been a fantastic process for us, and we've really enjoyed it. Thank you. So thank you for your time today. I hope you can agree that what we've done is worthwhile. I hope it's of interest to you. If you do want to get in touch and find out more about DistroBind and what we can do, our details are up on the screen, and I look forward to answering your questions now. Thank you.
Awesome. Dave, welcome. Really good video.
Hi, Ed.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we've got people delivered when it came to asking questions, so we've got quite a few. So let's crack on with that, shall we? So Elliot says, does the solution just handle claims bordereau, or does it also do premium bordereau?
Yeah, I mean, it does everything, risk, premium, and claims. If anything, the risk and premium was at the start of this process a little bit ahead of where we are on claims. And part of the reason for us joining the lab was to help us accelerate the claims processing that we do.
Yeah, and that kind of maybe leads into Elaine's question as well. So she thought that DistroBind's product was about straight through processing, but this demo seems to be about bordereau management. Have DistroBind pivoted?
No, we haven't. I think we see ourselves very much as a delegated authority management platform, not a bordereau management platform. But in 10 weeks, dealing with the problems that the managing agents already have, it's easier to focus on the bordereau. If we were to go to do straight through processing, we kind of need to get a TPA or cover holder that is sending the data in via API. So it's obviously just easier to focus on this in the lab. But then that actually gives us a very good next step to investigate with our mentors or with anyone else who wants to see that straight through processing.
Yeah, cool. So Trevor's asked, does the system help highlight errors or missing data? Can it fill in the blanks?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, on the risk and premium side, it does a validation that the risks written are within the terms of the binder. On the claims side, it does claims verification, that you've seen this risk before, that the premium's been paid, that it's a claim that has coverage, that the dates have coverage, etc. And it can either enrich the data from additional sources, it can default data if it's missing, or it can even pull in data that when you load a risk or you load a claim or load a premium, we can pull data in from a risk, or we can bring data in from prior transactions, prior years. There's multiple ways we can enrich the data.
Yeah, cool. So do you have any plans to integrate with DDM, as eventually it will be mandated to put into DDM and would make sense to only upload once?
Yeah, so we are, I think one of the next steps we'll be doing with the mentors is having them looking at loading the data that comes out of DistroBind so that we can take the different formats that might not go straight into DDM and standardize them and then put them into DDM. We're obviously constrained ourselves by the fact that DDM can't accept API data yet, but once it can, we're already ready to send data via API as well.
Yeah, cool. Are DistroBind using any AI or machine learning to standardize data that comes in so many differing formats?
We can and we do, and we will extend it as well. So our standardization has a few tools. That's not all AI and ML. There is just some kind of statistical analysis and kind of just normal processing, but we also use AI and ML to do some of our anomaly detection. We're going to extend our thesaurus capabilities with kind of full-on word vectors as well.
Great. We've got another question here. Looks like it could be a risk demonstration platform as well, which could help underwriters create contracts. Sorry.
I mean, that might be something that is a good prompt for us to go and talk to Edmund about more, as he's the underwriter we work with, or Jeff, if he wants to talk to us. I think it certainly is. We've obviously focused in the lab on claims, but all of the same kind of visualization of data, the risk is there on the risk side as well. So I think it absolutely could. It's something that we'd love to explore.
Yeah. Cool. Get your questions in. I've got some which came on email beforehand. Is this a Lloyd's only solution, or can it work for the company market as well?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely can work with anything. There is no territory, class of business, or market restriction on DistroBind. I think one of the things that we can really help with is actually, all of the syndicates out there, or companies that have a mixed market, have a syndicate and a company as well, that they can process everything in a single platform.
Yeah, cool. And Mark's asked, in your experiences with clients so far, what is the quantum of efficiency improvement you are seeing? And just before you answer that, I'm just going to add Scott to the chat as well. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Enormous. I mean, I think if you take even the example of Sophie, in what we've just done, was taking 20 minutes to, a good bordereau for her is 20 minutes, a bad bordereau is maybe 45 minutes, just to get into a state that would be processed by their current bordereau solution. And DistroBind will do it with no manipulation and process it in seconds. So when you factor that up by the number of bordereau that she's having to process every month, you're talking about hours and hours of man time saving. We're dealing with a cover holder who I think they have one person who spends over 70 hours every month just rekeying bordereau data. We'll just eliminate that in a stroke.
Yeah, we're seeing probably 15 to 45 minutes on average to check a bordereau per month. And like I said, we'll ingest those in seconds and probably do a more thorough job of checking. So a human being can't check even 1,000 risks in 300 columns. That's 300,000 checks, but that's exactly what computing can do in seconds.
Yeah. Cool. We've got about just under 2 minutes left. So are there any other improvements you guys could bring into the market, that you could bring to the market that you didn't have time to cover in this? I mean, 10 weeks is pretty short, isn't it? So
I think the big one would be, what we already covered with Elaine's question, that, we pitched to do bordereau-free claims processing. And I think that for us is either with one of our mentors or somebody else working with a managing agent and a TPA to just get claims verified in real time and settled as soon as they can be.
Yeah. Cool. And yeah, I mean, so is DistroBind only a solution for the managing agent?
No, it's absolutely not. We see ourselves as very much kind of an ability to automate the middle and back office for a cover holder as well. Cash matching, remittance matching. Even for brokers, we can produce the LPAN directly, get data submitted to the bureau. It's part of what we've been working on with the Cohort. So we really feel that we can serve the whole of the delegated authority value chain.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Right. Scott, go ahead.
No, I'd just say it's been built from the ground up to not only help the prime user of the system, but their partners up and downstream, because we think that actually the organizations are going to benefit most are the ones that not only get more efficient themselves, but they can help people both upstream and downstream become efficient. And then their value chain becomes, an industry leading value chain.
Yeah, awesome. Right, that is all we've got time for, I'm afraid, folks. If you guys got further questions, you can probably connect on the chat in the networking on Hopin, or maybe come to the lab when things open up, or drop us an email. Lots of ways to get in touch. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure working with you guys the last 10 weeks. It's been really good fun.
And you. Thank you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, awesome. So there's no voting on demo day, but when it comes to pitch day, this is a time when we ask for your votes, because in pitch day you can help pick the teams that come in. So pitch day again is going to be at the end of this month, and invites will come out soon. But for now, we've got next up is a team who've been working with us called SettleIndex. So let's go to their video and see what they've been doing.
SettleIndex is a predictive modeling platform that drives cultural change around settlement and reduces the cost of casualty claims and disputes. It enables insurers to reduce indemnity and costs of claims, manage the performance of law firms, improve capital management, and collect and analyse data on litigation. During the programme, we worked with the mentors to understand where the product could be most valuable and put it into a number of live trials with insurers and their lawyers.
We had a hunch, and I suspect that most people have a similar hunch, that the process of the way lawyers are handling disputes hasn't changed for a very, very long time and isn't working. Through the trials, we discovered, or really our hypothesis was established, proven, that lawyers approach disputes and the handling of disputes in a fairly unsophisticated way. They don't use data to assess what the settlement point ought to be. No targets are set, so there's no real accountability. Fundamentally, they don't seek to try and settle early enough. Rather, they prefer to turn over every stone and incur what we think are unnecessary investigative costs.
Well, lawyers traditionally are not trained in how to construct a financial model of a dispute, and there is nothing available on the market for them to do this. The other fault, I think, in the system at the moment is that when lawyers assess settlement values for cases, they don't properly take into account how the other side might be evaluating it. And if you don't take into account the other side's evaluation, you're always going to fall short of where the other side want to be. And it's almost like a mutual process, but the design of Settle Index is to come up with that middle point between the likely two assessments.
I think it's fairly remarkable that in this day and age that we have a situation where insurers are buying a service from lawyers, and yet they have no real data or metrics from which they can assess whether a good job's been done or a bad job. And there's no means really for insurers to challenge the performance of lawyers, either live, which you would probably need to do on larger cases, or retrospectively when you're looking at perhaps a portfolio of attritional losses and the lawyer's performance on those.
So the way I look at disputes is that because 95% of them settle, what you need to do is work out what its value is and then pay that to dispose of it. And it's not a perfect analogy, but if you think when you're selling your house, you ask an agent round to value it, he will tell you what it's worth, give you an estimate of what it's worth, and then sell it for you, and will probably charge you 2.5% of the price. But when it comes to litigated disputes, it's as if you're told that your dispute is worth £1 million, and the lawyers then charge you £1 million to tell you that. And that is what we're dealing with, an enormous cost for valuing a dispute.
During the lab, we made a range of improvements to the product. One of these is the case history feature. This is a really important feature for insurers because it visualizes the key metrics from a lawyer's report visually and enables claims handlers to cut through the noise and really understand where action needs to be taken. We also identified a range of usability and functional improvements which will help speed up the adoption of the product, which we're currently putting into production.
I think, to me, one of the most important moments in the lab process was when one of our mentors, Colin Masson, in fact, suggested that what lawyers and users need would be templates. And this wasn't something we had thought of doing, but actually, on reflection, we realized that providing templates is a fantastic way of transferring a lot of initial know-how to people who are using the product. So we have embarked on creating a series of templates, and these are something that can be adapted by organisations for their own needs and their own specialised claims processes.
Since coming on board as a mentor for Settle Index, I've learned how intelligent the platform is and how much potential it has for improving the way the market deal with cases in litigation. I think the adoption of Settle Index could improve the way insurers manage litigation risk. This is because Settle Index can be used as a tool to structure the lawyer's professional opinion into a financial model, which will allow insurers to make better decisions on the basis of improved data. I think it's a brilliant idea, and it's been a real pleasure working with them.
What we know is that the legal costs of casualty claims and disputes, both the claimants and the defendants, could be possibly as much as 50% of the total spend. If we can improve that marginally, we could be looking at huge savings to the market. We think it's not beyond the realms of imagination that we could improve the situation by anything from 15 to 30%. We think that in order to start this change, that it will need the support of the whole market, and particularly Lloyd's, to encourage people to see that change is possible in an area where I think previously people didn't think change was possible. And what Settle Index shows is that a new way of looking at the way claims and disputes can be handled is achievable and could make a dramatic difference in the amount of costs expended and the indemnity levels. We would really like to see Lloyd's support this and get behind this new way of doing things.
Excellent. So I'm joined by Zach at the moment for Q&A. I've got a first question coming through, and I've also had a few on email before we joined. But let's go to Andrew first with his question. Has your time in the lab given you a better insight into the types of cases Settle Index would be most suited to? And will you be making any changes to the product's marketing in light of this? Hey, Zach. Sorry.
Hi.
Welcome.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
The short answer is that Settle Index works across all cases, and we see the most value in the product where it's used across all cases, even if it doesn't necessarily influence the impact of every case or influence the outcome of every case. And fundamentally, we see it as a kind of a reporting tool that should be put in place on all cases so that you build up the data either way. And it may be that it's more useful in terms of informing the case strategy on larger cases, more complex cases, or cases where the expected or estimated costs are high in relation to the amount of the claim. But fundamentally, like I said, we see it really should be used, or we believe it should be used on every case so that you build up the data either way.
Cool, thanks. Got a few, like I say, a few came on an email. One was actually from some people who've been working with you in the lab. So first question from them was, has your time in the lab given you a better insight into the types of cases Settle Index would be most suited to? Okay, that's not, someone just repeated the same question. Okay, sorry. The second question is, what do you see as the main benefit to lawyers of adopting Settle Index?
The main benefit to lawyers?
Lawyers, yeah.
Well, fundamentally, for lawyers, it enables them to, it's a tool that doesn't currently exist for lawyers. So
For the lawyer, it enables them to structure their own opinion, their own professional judgment of a case, and structure it into a financial model that they can then analyze afterwards. So we believe that there is nothing on the market that lets lawyers do this. And so for lawyers, it should be a kind of a useful tool in terms of informing case strategy. We also are targeting law firms as potential clients because we believe it gives them a very compelling competitive advantage, particularly when dealing with larger clients such as insurers. And for large law firms, much in the same way as insurers can collect a huge amount of data on their cases, big law firms can also do that as well.
Yeah. Nick, Rob, you were in the back end when the video was running, and then you dropped off. So I'll let you in as soon as you're on the screen, ready to jump on. So apologies for that. I don't know. The team are trying to help you in the background, but at the moment, Zach is doing a sterling job.
That's right.
So we've got a question from Jake. You mentioned that you're targeting insurers now. Why have you moved away from targeting lawyers?
Well, when we set out to build Settle Index, we always had insurers as in mind as our primary clients. So it's in many ways it's a product that sort of straddles legal tech and insurtech. But since day one we've always known that insurers would be the key clients because they are set to gain the most from the use of the product. When we started developing the product, naturally we did a lot of testing with lawyers, and obviously because Robert was a senior partner at a major firm before, we had a large network of lawyers who we spoke to in the product's development. But actually, we've never really done a kind of formal sales drive to the legal market yet, because we want to focus primarily on insurers first. Insurers are by far the biggest consumers of litigation services, and they are the ones that are set to gain the largest cost savings and the data gathering sort of abilities from Settle Index.
Yeah, great. Hi, Rob. Was there anything you wanted to add to any of the answers Zach's given so far?
No. Just sorry I couldn't get in previously, but I'm ready for the next. If there's more questions, I'm raring to go.
Yeah, cool. So Trevor has asked, how have you incorporated your expert understanding of the settlement process into the template design?
Well, I suppose the template is about the type of issues that crop up in particular types of disputes. So in the demo, we showed a personal injury template, and I've done a few personal injury cases during the course of the lab. And so it's a question of perhaps identifying the typical heads of damage and the typical outcomes from a dispute of that sort. And the idea would be that I think a personal injury lawyer using that template would quickly recognize the type of heads of loss and the sort of outcomes and be able to complete it. And it would make it very quick for them to pick it up and assimilate it.
Cool. Right, we've got about 6.5 minutes left for Q&A, so get your questions in. Ones I had previously were, how difficult is it to implement Settle Index?
Zach, do you want to say something about that?
It's very simple to implement. I'm sure everyone says that, but it's a cloud-based platform. We see it really as being something that is put in place between the insurer and the law firm as a way of sort of collecting regular reports and data on litigation, and therefore most of the work is actually put on the lawyers. For insurers, they get essentially, as soon as they start using it, they get an out-of-the-box dashboard of their cases and regular reports in a structured format. For lawyers, it's not particularly time-consuming in relation to the amount of time that is already spent on a dispute. Putting together a model can be done in as little as sort of 20-30 minutes. And we think that given the expense of litigation, that's actually a pretty reasonable time to spend reporting in a structured way. Robert also will probably say that the time that you spend modeling a case in Settle Index is probably one of the most valuable hours that you will spend, or valuable sort of 30 minutes that you'll spend in the lifespan of a case, because you are really understanding the case much better through doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is the most. It's very strategic, and if you don't do this at an early stage in a case, you'll probably be going off down the wrong tracks.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple of questions here from Mark. It looks like your platform is dependent on the volume of market settlement data that users provide. So 2 questions. First, what volume do you currently have? And second, what incentives are offered to platform participants to contribute their data?
Should I start this, Robert, and then?
Yeah, you start. Yeah.
So one of the things we often get asked is what data do you have currently in the system? What am I getting from this? There are two, and really there are 2 parts to Settle Index.
Looks like your platform is dependent on the volume of market settlement data.
Sorry, I was getting some feedback there. Fundamentally, what you're doing when you put in place Settle Index is you are putting in place a reporting system and a data collection system between lawyers and insurers that enables you to collect data in a structured format. And we would pretty much guarantee that that's data that doesn't exist currently. That was one of the things that we learned during the lab, actually, is a lot of the data that we were interested in and were asking for, we just found this didn't exist. And so it's also not necessarily reliant on a volume of data at all, because what it's doing is it's taking your lawyer's professional judgment of a case at a point in time, structuring it into a financial model, and then enabling you to consume that in a kind of much more user-friendly or understandable way. Over time, that will enable you to build up your own data bank and your own data to analyze, which we think will be incredibly useful. And then in the long sort of future, there may be the possibility to combine that data or pull that data with other clients. But fundamentally, we see it as something that really it's a data collection and analysis product.
Yeah. Cool. Welcome, Nick. I muted you just because I think you had the event on in the background and it was giving us a bit of feedback. But you can unmute yourself when you're back. So Trevor's asked a question actually to Nick. How can an approach like this be encouraged in the Lloyd's market?
I think first of all, there's got to be a willingness to change from the whole market. The way we handle disputes and litigation really hasn't changed for centuries, and it's got to be to work. You can approach it just as an individual organisation, but I think if the market approaches it as a whole and adopts a way of measuring lawyers' performance, which will compel cost savings, then there'd be a much better result both for insurers and also it's a better service for the actual clients as well. So sure, you could do it by individual organisation, but I think the more the market as a whole adopts this new approach, the greater the benefits all round. Excuse me.
Cool, thank you. We've got time for one more question. We've got about a minute left. So we've got a question from Elaine Mason. Hello, Elaine. Have you thought about partnering with some of the billing analysis firms? This would seem to be a good fit, and they already have a client base or service that would complement yours.
Shall I answer this one? We think billing analysis is about checking that lawyers are charging the right rates and are not charging for time that their agreement says they can't charge for. We are a very different service. This is about assessing the value of claims, and it's not about analysing the way lawyers spend money. Ideally, it's preventing them or stopping them from spending unnecessary resource. So there might be in the long run some hookup to share markets, and certainly there could be some synergies there, but the products are very different. There's no immediate synergy, I would say. Would you agree, Zach?
Yeah. I mean, I think, as Robert said, we see billing analysis tools as as sort of similar in the sense that they are, they collect regular data and report on it in a way to clients. But we feel like we're solving a more fundamental problem, which is, as Robert said, not spending the time to begin with. And having said that, yes, there is the potential for some sort of integration in the long term, because one of the key data points that does come from Settle Index reports is the current cost spend. So we could incorporate that at some point, definitely.
I think fundamentally, though, we're trying to assess the performance of lawyers here. Have they achieved a good deal or not? And that's a pure performance metric.
Yeah. Cool. And Elaine's just replied, but I'm afraid we're out of time now. So thanks a lot, guys. Pleasure seeing you guys around in the lab and working with you, and look forward to seeing more from you. So I'm going to drop you off the chat now, and we're going to move on to our next presentation, which is with SafeKeep. Before I do that, just a little plug. For those of you who don't know, there's a 2% innovation fund at Lloyd's. So if you're working as an underwriter, if you're an underwriter in Lloyd's market, or if you're somebody with a new product that you're trying to get into Lloyd's market, just be aware there's this innovation class that we've got, and it's surprisingly easy to use. 2% of the capacity that the syndicate will write, we can add on innovation. So it's probably not something just to quickly talk about now, because there's a lot involved in all that, but it's actually surprisingly easy to use, as I said, and we're keen to get people to start writing innovative products through it. So if you want to find out more about that, get in contact with us, and we're happy to share more details. But for now, I'm going to move over to our next video, which is with SafeKeep.
I'm Jeff, straight from New York City, and we are the team behind ClaimFlow, a subrogation platform which empowers the next generation of claim professionals to identify recovery potential and efficiently pursue it. When we successfully recover dollars, we can reimburse customers on deductibles, keep loss ratios low, and keep premiums reasonable for customers. Good recovery practices also protects profitability. In spite of this, recovery processes and decisions remain highly manual, and over 3/4 of the data required to make those decisions is unstructured. Here's how it works. The customer can report first notice of injury, while regulatory and special handling rules run behind the scenes. They could submit pictures, reports, and recorded statements and get status of their deductible reimbursements in real time. SafeKeep is triggered upon first notice of loss. It ingests the claims data either in batch or API from your claims system of record, detects recovery potential in your claims, streamlines the sending of demands, assists the adverse insurer in responding, and streamlines responses and settlements, all on one platform. By the time the adjuster, SIU, or recovery professional enters their queue, ClaimFlow will have already executed over 3,000 out-of-the-box business rules, eliminating false positives and showing just the claims that require action by the recovery and SIU teams, to ensure that your most important claims are at the top of the work queue according to that claim professional's level of authority and line of business. If the recovery professional wants more details on the reasons why the claim was flagged for recovery, he or she can click into the claim profile, which identifies the key details from your underlying legacy claims admin system and seamlessly enriches that data with recovery-specific datasets. Provides up to 33 recovery-specific dashboards in real time. SafeKeep runs in the background and ingests claims data at every point in the claim journey, whether it be at the first notice of loss or at the final step when the claim is closed. We are constantly refreshing our recovery scores based on the structured and unstructured data that is available. Ingestion of unstructured data is particularly important, whether that data comes from documents or adjuster notes. SafeKeep's advanced semantic searchability can extract the entities that are relevant to your recovery effort, and it is backed by our industry-leading sentence encoding, which we are constantly improving. In past projects, we have discovered recovery potential leading up to 37% increase in files with recovery potential, up to 21% increase in dollar net recoveries, and a 90% reduction in effort to process claims for recovery. In one claims operation prior to SafeKeep, their recovery professionals had to review as many as 26 files before reaching one true positive with recovery potential. With SafeKeep, recovery professionals had to touch as few as 2 files before getting to a true positive in certain lines of businesses. This resulted in a recovery potential of as much as $10 million per year, a significant increase in this insurer's bottom line. If you're interested in working together, we can move quickly to get your checks in the door within a few months. We invest the time to do discovery, fine-tune our models, and set up a service that is completely tailored to your operation. The pilot requires that we ingest your claim data via API or batch. That data will consist of open and closed claims. Claims information may also include transactional data, adjuster notes, and documents. Rest assured, SafeKeep has consistently passed security review of global insurers and employs accredited third-party auditors to test, validate, and certify our security infrastructure, policies, and processes. We are ready to scale our 3-step program globally, since we expect our learnings to be highly transferable. We are ready to perform annotation on claims in non-English speaking regions. ClaimFlow integrates with your existing claims systems of record and could surface insights up to your engagement layer or workflow application of choice. We play nice with your existing environment. As the former global head of insurance at Salesforce, recognized by Cohort as a top 10 insurtech leader, I co-founded SafeKeep with Tom, an MD who focused on AI in healthcare, and with Andrew, a 15-year veteran from Liberty Mutual. Our Chief Claims Officer, Kevin, was the former president of the National Association of Subrogation Professionals and a longtime veteran at Allianz Global Corporate and Specialty. We are proud to have beaten over 1,400 other insurtechs to win the Global Gold Award in Zurich's Innovation Championship. We were also selected as the second most innovative insurtech globally by EFMA and Accenture. As a finalist in the FinTech Innovation Lab, Plug and Play, and Mass Challenge, SafeKeep is also already well positioned to work with Lloyd's syndicate members. Thank you, and see you soon.
Awesome. Let's get the team in. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thanks. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Awesome. So quite a short video, so we've got plenty of time to chat right now. And thankfully we've got a question coming through from Elaine already. Thanks, Elaine. Always rely on you. So let's get started with the questions and we can have a bit of a chat as we go through. So how does data get into SafeKeep?
Sure. So data gets into SafeKeep in one of 2 main ways. The first is we do pre-integrate with existing commercial off-the-shelf back office systems, such as Guidewire and Duck Creek. We often encounter a lot of homegrown claim admin systems as well. We do a lot of the heavy lift and mapping from those systems to our canonical models. And those would be done via APIs. The second way, which is not uncommon, is through batch. And so that could come from a batch extract from your claim admin systems or from the data warehouse, in which case we are able to ingest that data and push it through the same kind of data ingestion process.
Cool, thanks. And so, I mean, trying to get good examples to use in a 10-week program is not easy. So, I mean, Elaine has asked, has a pilot been contracted during the time in the lab? So I guess an interesting question about what you're able to do during the lab and what's going to happen after the 10 weeks is over.
Sure. We've gotten a lot done during the 10 weeks, and I'm going to invite other members of my team to chime in. But in essence, you know, the first step was to work with the couple of syndicates that were involved with who engaged with SafeKeep. And first step was to understand their pains and their needs, really understanding where they're coming from, understanding the unique aspects of their business, their unique kind of book of claims. The second step was to understand where SafeKeep would fit into their process. The third is, you know, understanding where we fit in within the Lloyd's industry blueprint and how that could be leveraged as part of the pilot. And currently, we are working with a syndicate around better understanding their data requirements. And so there's been a lot of collaboration around the list of attributes that would be part of the data exchange.
Yeah, and Elaine, just to kind of add on to that, I think a key learning of working with Lloyd's Labs and a number of syndicates has been understanding how our platform is scalable and kind of fit for purpose across all syndicates in a way that is efficient, in a way that allows that data transfer to be in a totally seamless and easy way, and in a way that is kind of unique to each syndicate's book of business, but then is scalable across all of Lloyd's claims. So that's absolutely the intent and the roadmap that we're on.
Yeah, I wanted to. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to add to Gabriel's points around what we've learned from this whole experience. I think first and foremost, validation of the need for an automated subrogation solution. We had our roots in North America, and understanding kind of a diverse set of requirements, with the Lloyd Syndicate members has been absolutely just very, very helpful. The second thing was really understanding sales objections that we would encounter. There's always nervousness around kind of the sending of data, not just from a security perspective, but oftentimes it's regarded as something that requires a lot of work by the syndicate, and just understanding kind of the intricacies of those concerns and those sales objections and learning how to deal with them was a key lesson that we learned in the process.
Yeah. So I think Gabriel talked about the technology and scaling. So I was going to ask, from a tech perspective, what is SafeKeep's differentiator? You've mentioned some percentages in terms of business impact and that, but what is it about the tech that enables this?
Sure. Gabriel, you want to take that?
Yeah, so there's Saved by the Bell, Jeff. There's a couple of kind of core components that are really the central ingredients to our solution that we've aimed it at solving the problem of subrogation. Those core tenets are, and these are all patent pending or patented, are machine learning models built here by our chief data scientist, Tom. Those are machine learning models that are built specifically for insurance claims and specifically for a carrier's claims data using a strict single tenancy architecture. The second piece is natural language processing that's semantic search capable. And then beyond that, we also have patent pending solutions around entity resolution, and we automate statutory rules. So that's how we kind of gain efficiencies in overhauling and digitizing the subrogation process, is by not just significantly improving the identification of files with subrogable opportunity and then significantly improving the monies that are recovered. We're doing that while decreasing human effort as well. So for the carriers that we've worked with in the US, in the UK, and elsewhere around the globe, we're getting the feedback that we're reducing cost, we're adding money to the bottom line, but we're also reducing a lot of the human effort, and it's leveraging those core tech capabilities.
Yeah, I would add that what makes us different is that we have a lot of experience doing it. So while the solution may be kind of the first to market in some respects as a commercial product, the fact is that we've processed almost 3 million claims, 14 million claim notes, 108 million sentences. We've done a ton of annotation and labeling work on the platform. And so the proof points are there, and the track record is there in kind of delivering the results. We mentioned that we've seen around a 20% increase in net recoveries per year for across different lines of businesses: auto, work comp, property and general liability, as well as in the excess lines. So that's the first kind of key takeaway, is that we've done this, and we've delivered results. And then the second piece is that we constantly learn. So a very unique feature of SafeKeep is we are learning from user feedback. We learn from the data, and we're constantly fine-tuning the predictive models.
In terms of learning then, Matt's got a question which you've partially answered already, but you might have a different take on it now, is what did you learn from your experience in the lab, and where do you see yourself fitting into Lloyd and its participants?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's no better time to be part of Lloyd's Labs than now, because, the industry blueprint is an evolving vision. And a key part of that blueprint is how data will be aggregated across the syndicates, and then potentially used for things like benchmarking purposes, and additional analytics, and for providers like us who can be the layer that sits on top, the predictive layer that sits on top, to uncover things like recovery potential. And so we see ourselves being a key kind of standardized component within the industry blueprint, specifically for claims. And with regard to where we fit in specifically within the environment of the participants, if you look at the full stack of the solution, as I'd mentioned before, we plug in to your existing environment. So we are additive to your existing claim admin system. It could be off the shelf or it could be homegrown. We sit in between, we push it through our ingestion process. Then there's a predictive layer, and then the layer above that would be the actual workflow. And what enables that are the automation of the rules that Gabriel talked about. And so we are additive to the existing IT environment. We understand the realities of working with a heterogeneous kind of system environment. So I hope I'm addressing that question of how we see ourselves fitting in.
A few more minutes left. A question from Mark. It looks like your experience is US-centric, with reliance on a human in the loop. How will you scale to other territories?
Yeah, Tom, do you want to talk about the transferability of the platform to other regions?
Yes, so we indeed started in the US and in English, but none of our methods is language dependent. Nothing is dependent specifically on the English language or the regulatory environment in the US. One of the things that helped us improve is data augmentation methods that allows us to take the user feedback. I want to see these claims or those claims, and quickly incorporate it in the form of a predictive model that defines those facts and directs the claims accordingly. So we are US based. We are currently working in English, but the methods themselves can be ported to other languages as well.
And we are to that point. We are engaging in pilots in several geographies outside of the U.S.
I would also add, and I think the question was also about the heavy lift of humans having to do annotation and labeling on large data sets. One of the things that makes SafeKeep very unique as well is we do have a proprietary process for annotation and labeling that is much more efficient than standard practices, and happy to double click on that beyond this conversation here.
Cool. And Trevor's building on Mark's question, on that question we just had, to say, did you establish that your approach fits the sort of business we have in the Lloyd's market?
Yeah, Kevin or Gabriel, you want to take that before I jump in?
Short answer, Trevor, is yes. And back to the earlier question about what did we learn as part of the lab? I think it's been instrumental. We partnered with a number of syndicates who kind of gave us frank assessments of this is where we need help. This is where maybe we don't. But understanding that perspective from the different syndicates, and then fitting that to match our capabilities and how we could partner with syndicates and be helpful. That's been instrumental experience, and it's validated. There are large swaths of claim handling across syndicates where we certainly can be a fit and be helpful.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, we our models fit all lines of business in the U.S. and believe that they are truly applicable globally. Having run subrogation for AGCS North America, we had a lot of global interaction. There's a lot of similarities between the lines of business. We have models dedicated to marine insurance and other lines as well. So I think all of our models are applicable to the Lloyd's market. And along with that, we will partner and are partnering with firms that provide the regulatory framework that would apply in other countries.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Okay, just to wrap it up, it's got about 1 minute left. What question for me is, what should we expect to see? What news story will we have heard about Safekeep in a year's time? What's kind of the big things that you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, we have a bigger vision where we are streamlining the carrier-to-carrier engagement. So not only providing analytics capabilities to the first-party carrier, but as they identify those liable parties, that we're streamlining the engagement with the adverse carrier. And so you could expect to see a platform that serves the broader ecosystem. And that's why we're so excited about participating in Lloyd's Labs, is it gives us the opportunity to engage with a good number of syndicates who are part of an already existing ecosystem and platform, the industry blueprint.
Yeah.
Gabriel, you're going to jump in.
Ed, I'd just add, I mean, we are and will continue to measure our success in terms of improving profitability and loss ratios for carriers on all sides, in all geographies across the globe. So looking back a year from now, stay tuned for lots of news about how we're improving profitability and loss ratios for carriers.
Awesome. Well, that is a time out. Thanks, time up. Thanks, guys. Pleasure working with you over the last 10 weeks, and look forward to seeing you more.
Thank you so much.
Good day.
Appreciate the opportunity. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. Right. So that's the end of the first section of Demo Day. Join us again in about 22 minutes for the data and model session, which is going to be hosted by GAT. And tomorrow we've got the sessions on wildcard and geopolitics. And then the final one is new products, of course. It's that time of the day. Right, cool. Well, thanks a lot for your questions and for your time. Thanks to teams for presenting. And again, look out for invites to Pitch Day coming at the end of the month. Cheers, folks.